well, many of them are overseas right now, and perhaps they are perhaps they're trying to make sense of their children's education. And some of them go abroad, Australia. I know a lot of them going to the UK, and then a lot of them going to the European countries. Okay, Australia, especially Australia right now. Why? Because they want the best education, Islamic education for their children. Okay, and one thing, my friends in the UK, they mentioned that they teach history even at preschool level. The British love their history. Why? That's why they were once the superpower of the world. After their fall, it was the US. So the British knows that without history, you don't have roots. That's the tree. Kalau tak ada roots, you die. And for us Muslims, ataupun humans, you don't have a history, you have no identity. So that's why they teach their children. They were perplexed when they say, preschool belajar history, sejarah apa ni? Right? So they learn about the British Crown, they learn about the British Empire, the East India Company. Okay, because why? They want their children to be rooted with a strong history. But for us, just not in my YKI classes, ask about history. Semua tak tahu. Even geography, where is Kufa? They don't know. Where is Basra? They don't know. What is this? Who is that? They don't know. Okay? So I dub them as the lost generation. They are the lost generation. They don't have roots. They're neither here nor there. They're neither east or west. Okay? And their Islamic identity is very much eroded. They don't have a loyalty, they don't have an affiliation. Right? I think here I would like to really have a strong debate, of course, with the brothers who are in society right now, especially Akhilmi, who is Muiz and all that. I was in Muiz for 3 years, right? Okay? For us to together, in like this family forum, to discuss on the future of our education and our children's future, and the future for Islam. Right? Have a heart-to-heart session, right? Let's look back at our social, political, social, historical perspective of why we are here right now. And most of us are at the age of leadership in society. So therefore we must actually address, we must actually have a deep understanding. Because why? We will make a lot of major decisions that will affect the future of our children. Right? Okay? And one of the serious issues in education right now is the commodification of knowledge. How did we get here? How did it have come to become like this? Okay? الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وجنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار. Okay? Right? I start this narrative with the end in mind. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the recipe, gave us actually the educational roadmap of what we as humans should be, which is men of understanding, wise, right? At the same time, gives light to others, give benefit to others. Okay, at the same time, we are the Khalifah, which actually yang memakmurkan dunia ni. Okay, yang mentadbir, right? At the same time, we spread justice and equality to all humans and know who is their creator, right? And that doesn't mean that we are not engineers, everybody has to be an ustaz, no. Okay, but again, what kind of model are we looking at? Is it something like Nick Aziz? Or is it something like Fatih Yakan? Or is it something like a chemical engineer at the same time he is an ustaz? Or is it an ustaz at the same time he is an engineer? Again, okay? So we need to have a model and we need to understand. And therefore, inshallah, all of us right now, today, we must perhaps promise ourselves at the end of this session to work together on a firm educational model that is based on the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he said, "What? Khairul Qurun Qarni." He said, "The best of centuries is my century." And then after that, Khulafa, after that, Tabi'in. That's it. 300 years. Okay, the model was set by the Prophet and his companions and the companions' companions, right? And that's how we'll see who are the great people that came out from this education system. We need to relook, we need to duplicate, and we need to carbon copy into our, of course, contextualize to our time. Okay? So this is what this session is about. But now, knowledge, right, has already become a commodity. And I'm going to show you how it came to that. When did MS education started? And we are the inheritors of that system. Okay? And because the world, the civilization went through a few phases, right? Okay, don't ask repeat the cycle again, right? So now let's take a look. The chronological fate of knowledge. One, of course, the age of Jahiliyyah, and before the advent of prophethood, before Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent by Allah subhanahu wa taala, right? It was age of ignorance, right? The prophet before them, before him, okay, has sent down the light of Allah subhanahu wa taala, but it has been lost because man, manusia, insan, nisan wa ghafla. We forget, and we always lalai. Okay, that's why we forget, and that's why, for example, the rituals of Hajj was forgotten. Although it was ritualized by Prophet Ibrahim AS, it was forgotten. Until the Prophet came to revive balik. So, but there are no prophets then. Sekarang tak ada. The Prophet Muhammad was Khatamul Anbiya. He is a closure. He is a seed of all prophets. So how do we actually revive balik, renew balik the spirit of Islam, especially in terms of education and knowledge? Okay, that's what our role is. So teachers, educators, parents especially, the first madrasah is the home. The first teacher or the mudarrisah is the mother. Right? So we're going to come back to that and how we can implement a model within our own homes, right? And perhaps with FMSA, I don't know, maybe we can use FMSA as a platform, okay, to rebuild balik the Islamic civilization. Okay? And the key is education. Because the skill set that we need to rebuild the next Islamic civilization, because this was the words used by Abu al-Mawdudi, the rebuilding, because we have lost it, the civilization has fell. Okay, the segment of Europe, which is the Ottoman Empire, fell in 19. When did it fall? 24. That's right. Yeah? The age of ignorance, and then came the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's when the golden age. It's not the Abbasid Empire, Abbasid period. It's the golden age of Islam, golden knowledge. But it was during the Prophet time, the Tabi'in and Tabi'in, for 800 years. Okay. Right? So that was when the purity of knowledge was being experienced by men, re-experiencing again. Okay, and that's how they started to rebuild the Islamic civilization. Okay, and what was the knowledge based on? Based on the ayat which I quoted to you at the beginning of this lecture. Right? They created men of understanding, who understands the world, and more importantly, they know how to complement it with the world hereafter. Okay. Therefore, they have what? They have the best of both worlds. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. But how do we do that in what? Secular, cosmopolitan, the red race, Singapore environment. Right? Okay, especially the undergraduates, I know. Right? I had the luxury, or I had the honor of being with them in the orientation. Okay? And two of them, I think one of them is here. When I asked them, they just entered university last week, and they said, I only have assignment this week, class. Huh? First week of lecture, then after you have assignments already? Yes, and one more next month, I'm going to have my exam. Huh? Exams? Okay? So this is what we have inherited, and you will know why later. Why knowledge has become a commodity that now is being traded. Right? Universities are being rated by what? By the amount of millions of grants that they get. Okay? How many products that they can come up with, and how much the industry will actually pump to the university. So that is a commodity of knowledge. Until later I'll come back to that. Okay, we must understand balik. All educationists, parents, and also teachers will need to know the original state of knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down, which has been exemplified by the Prophet, his companions, and his companions. Okay? Right? They didn't have a revolution. They call it the Green Revolution, the 8th to 13th century, and it was. I know most of you will not know this history. And it's like Fata Morgana in history, which has been stolen from us. Okay, because we know the Renaissance on the 15th century onwards, but after that, before that, it's like a ghost. Okay, right now I think it's time for us to come back and rediscover ourselves, our roots, so that we understand where we came from and where we're going.